So what is my thoughts about the Sony A95K? Yes, is not on the normal stand, we'll talk about that. But what is my thoughts when I've been using the Samsung S95b previously, and also why I think that all these reviews that we see online at this moment saying that this TV is too expensive, it doesn't make any sense. If you want to know everything about it, stay tuned until the end of the video. Hi everyone, Marcus here from MADpack, and if you love tech, this is the place for you. And today we are going to talk once again about TVs, and here is another QD-OLED. It's the TV that won the best TV of the year, so if you are searching for the best, you don't have to search anymore, it's here, and is definitely a game changer. Even for me that I use another QD-OLED, the Samsung S95b, it's night and day the experience. Many reviews saying that this TV is too expensive, in these days makes no sense. If you look to the Samsung S95b, it costs in the UK, in the moment that I'm reviewing, £2,100, and this TV costs you £2,800, £900, depending where you are purchasing this one. So we are talking about 700 or 800 of difference between these two TVs, and in the end is not that price of difference, because there is some things that you have to add to that other TV that you don't have to add on this one. So let's talk about build construction, and if you have seen the review that I've done about the Samsung S95b, and if you don't have seen, definitely check it out before you purchase that one. The build construction on this one is completely the opposite, it's rock solid. When I was taking out of the box the Samsung S95b, I was super stressed, but no stress at all when I was taking the Sony A95K. It's a bit thick on the back, but for me what is more important is how thick is the bezels, and these ones, they seem slightly thinner than the ones on the Samsung. How thick is on the back, that is necessary to give you some of the features that other televisions will not be able to deliver at the same level of this one. And from someone that come from the Samsung S95b that everyone says that is super bright, it really depends on the update that you have on your TV. When you try to calibrate that TV, is so much dimmer than this one. And the first experience that I had at my house, we were looking Walking Dead, and when they passed with a flashlight in front of our eyes, it was almost if that flashlight was pointing to us. And that experience I never felt with the Samsung S95b. That's not because of the panel. On the Sony A95K is exactly the same, but behind the panel you have a heatsink that allows Sony to make the Sony A95K much brighter and for longer. And for that same reason, that's a big benefit that you have when you purchase this one, and that's also one of the reasons why this TV is much thicker than the competitors. And if that is not enough, you continue to have pixel shift on this TV anyway, and panel refreshing. Another thing that I have to say that is dump proof, and the amount of options is completely insane, is the amount of settings that you can put on this TV. Much easier than, obviously, once again, my experience with the Samsung S95b, but here, like I said, is dump proof because it shows you an image of what you are adjusting and what is the difference, and also an explanation. So that makes it super easy to understanding what you are touching and what is going to be the difference between one of the settings and the other. And one of the big reasons that really make me buy this TV is the XR processor that you have on this TV. It's completely insane, and it's not just for the quality of image that you have there, but it's the control that this TV have over your image and your sound. So in other words, when you are seeing TV or when you go to the cinema, you are not thinking about controlling your image, controlling your volumes, controlling the brightness, the contrast, the saturation, and all those stuff. I want that I press in one button and everything works flawlessly. And this TV can deliver that with a feature that we'll talk a little bit further that no other televisions can deliver to you, at least in the moment that we are filming. Whatever you are playing games, seeing a TV show, a film, or even seeing normal TV, these auto settings processed by this XR processor makes your experience in another level. And I give you a real-time experience that I had in this house. So the sound I had in manual, I was always controlling and putting in cinema. And after, if you are Italian, you know what I'm talking, we were seeing the Sanremo 2023. It's like Eurovision, but it's not really. But it's just to give an idea of what it is. The sound was in cinema, and it was really echoing. When I was changing, I just passed through auto and suddenly the sound was perfect. And even it gives you the sensation that when you are in auto is slightly different than, for example, putting music or standard. It's like something in between. That experience you will not be able to provide with any other TVs, if it makes sense, because normally when you put in auto, the processing is wrong. Obviously, be aware, I have here the top of the range from Sony, the A9 that I'll bring to the channel really soon. But even if you use just the TV, it do that adjustment really well. After you change the settings on this TV to be in the way that you want, by the way, if you want me to share my settings on another video, let me know in the comments below. After I've done the changes that I wanted, I don't have to almost do anything anymore. The only thing that I turn on and turn off is the ambient sensor that, yes, in majority of the content, I don't need it whatsoever because it's going to make the image much dimmer, but in some content is essential. For example, if you are on Netflix and you are seeing Formula 1 TV show, it's too bright. And for that sensor sometimes works much better if you turn on the ambient sensor than if you have turned it off. But in majority of other content, like for example, if you are on Netflix seeing The Last Kingdom, it's much better when the sensor is off because all that TV show is much darker. But even if you see in Dolby Vision, that will be an advantage to turn off. But we can talk about that in another video. You can call me crazy to use majority of the settings in auto, but think like this. This TV is almost if you had a team that is controlling the image behind all the videos that we are putting out and is controlling those videos frame by frame, and I have someone else working for me adjusting the volumes, the bass, the surrounding experience without doing anything. That have no price, at least for me. It really makes your experience looking to TV and looking to TV shows, films, whatever, much better than if you were using a TV that doesn't allow to do that. That camera is like filming you and checking what you are doing, which position you are, and we'll talk about that in a minute. If you are searching for the TV with the best sound quality, don't search anymore. This is the best purchase that you have. Compared to, for example, the A90J, this television comes with 3 speakers, but when it's trying to send the sound to you, it's not sending through the bottom or through the back or through the top of the television. That's what happens with other normal televisions. So basically, it makes this panel vibrate, and if you put your ear next to the television, you can hear the sound coming from this area of your TV. And another thing that is also impressive, if this TV is mounted on the wall, you can after ask for that sound to come a little bit more from the bottom or more from the top. If you use this TV as, for example, your central speaker, that's the way that I have connected to the A9 from Sony. And if you want to know a little bit more about this sound system and my experience, feel free to ask in the comments below. As you can see, that is not the original stand here. I feel that was a very bad approach from Sony. If you are mounting that stand for the back, the television is not completely straight. And I think that reason is if you use the TV very often during the day, the TV is not completely straight, it's bending a little bit on the back, so if the light hits the screen, is going to reflect up and not reflecting directly to you. But obviously if you use it a lot during the night and you have the lights on, you're going to have more reflections coming through the TV. The only way that you have the TV completely straight is if you put the stand on the front. But for me, that is not even the case. The main reason why I don't have it here is because obviously I'm using the Sony A9 and I have the receiver here on the middle. I also have my Nintendo Switch here on the corner, and I want also some decoration on beneath my TV. I'm also thinking to purchase the PlayStation 5. Let me know in the comments below if you think that I should purchase or not. But for that, I also want some space here to have the PlayStation in front of me. This approach was really bad from Sony. It makes no sense whatsoever. Only if you tell me that your house is really big, it's not really small like mine, you can have the television on your stand, you have space on your stand on beneath to put the speaker. And obviously, if you think about it, this TV was thought to be attached to the Sony A9, so for that same reason, you don't need it to have any space to put a soundbar here. But obviously, if you was going to the HT7000, the soundbar from Sony that doesn't have the best reviews in the world, obviously you needed that space. If you wanted to combine those two, it will not work here. So I had to purchase a separate stand. I could continue to have the space on the bottom, and I continue to have the best TV on the market. Something that I don't see a lot of reviews really pushing is the remote. And if you think about it, your remote is just the extension of your TV. Even if you have a great TV, but your remote is not the best, definitely your experience will not be the best. And the best remote that I tried before was the remote of my NVIDIA. And this remote is amazing. Also have backlight on the buttons, the same that happens with the Sony. Feeling and the weight is exactly the same. Not like the control of the Samsung S95b that feels super light and feels super cheap on your hand. It's not so ergonomic, it's too thin. I would like to have the solar panel on this one, but you have a feature on this one that is simply amazing. And by the way, the solar panel is cool, but remember, these remotes, they connect by Bluetooth. Before you run out of batteries on your remote, it will take a while. One of the features that I really like about this remote is many times you don't know what is the remote. So it's very simple. You just have to say, hey Google, find my remote. And now you are going to see a message on the bottom, finding remote control. It's going to basically beep for 2 minutes. This is the sound. It's going to also blink the keys, and after you just have to press any button and it stop ringing. This is an extension of your experience of your TV. Another thing that I really like is the fact that you have the TV button on the top. So if you press one time, I have configured to go to my Sony A9. So in that case, if I want to hear some music on Spotify, or if I want to use the Chromecast, Amazon Alexa, I can just do it straight away here. And I don't have to grab basically the remote of the Sony A9 that is in the same level of the original remote of Sony. But if you see a lot of television and the amount of buttons that you have here is not enough, Sony provides you with the typical Sony remote. It almost reminds me my first TV that was a Sony. It's full of buttons, it's intuitive, but it's too much. So I really like that outside of the box you have these two options. Another thing that in this remote, it makes no sense whatsoever, at least for me. Your play and pause, they are separate. They could have swapped this pause to have one to go forward and one to go backwards. In opposite that you use here on the top, you have everything here on the bottom. Also, I would like that, for example, here is programs that you're going to have on television, and I can change that button. In my case, I don't use any service besides Netflix, Amazon's, so I like to have the possibility to also configure this button. Obviously, also here on the bottom, you have Bravia cord, you have Netflix, you have Disney Plus, and also you have Prime Video. I have all of them, but if you don't use one of them, it will be cool that I can also customize one of these 4 buttons for something else. That's not possible, but it's just to point it out. Another thing also about this remote that is simply amazing is the microphone. It's very sensitive, and if you want to change the settings on your TV, you can do it, and in that way you will be able to make it less sensitive if you think that is too sensitive. Another thing that I want to talk about is approach also the part of the price. If you have a Samsung S95b like I had, I was continuing to use my NVIDIA box. If you buy that television, the software is not as good as you have here because it's very zippy. You don't have any problems to use it. You need to have a better system. So for that, you need an external box. And obviously you have very cheap boxes on the market, but I always like it the best. And for that, I need to go to an NVIDIA box. And if you want that type of experience, you need to spend around £200 here in the UK. I have to say to you guys that since I've been using this, there is few things that the Sony is even better than my NVIDIA. Obviously my NVIDIA have already a bit of time. I have it for 1.5 years maybe at home. If you look, there is no NVIDIA anymore in my living room. When we go back to the difference between these two QD-OLEDs, that is £800, when you have to put at least £200 on an NVIDIA Shield, now the difference between these two televisions, it's only £600, but it will go down even more. Another thing that I want to say is majority of these TVs, they always come with some extra features. I have covered them, the features from Samsung. I was not happy about them, and if you want to see a little bit more about that video, it's available on the channel. This TV will come with a service called Bravia cord. And if you like to see Blu-ray content, and that's something that irritates me a bit, is always losing my connection with my Google account. I don't know why. When I'm connected, you are going to have basically 10 videos that you can redeem, but it's not just that, okay? So that is videos that normally you have to pay, but you have a lot of streams that they are included and they are for free. So all these videos included, for example, After Earth, that I really like this film, they will be completely for free, and the quality, it's simply incredible. You can go to basically Blu-ray quality. For that, you just have to go to your settings here on the bottom, and you have to turn on and enable pure stream. That's the first time that a television provides a service that is unique to that brand, and it makes sense for me. The image quality that comes out of it, it's simply incredible. And with your TV, you have 10 films for free. So it's something else that is already included that also you are not paying. So at this moment, we already know that this TV have a very good screen, have very good speakers. The sound comes from the panel and not from the sides or the back of the television. We know that you have a heatsink on the television. We know that you have 3 speakers inside the panel of this television. We know that we can adjust the height of the sound if it comes more from the top or the bottom if you use as a central speaker. We know that we have Bravia cord. We know that the remote is amazing, but there is other things related with this small guy that we have here on the top that I have to say, and I have to be honest with you guys. When I saw that this TV was coming with a camera, I was like, okay, it's going to be cool to obviously talk with my mom and have a conversation here, to be able to appear on the image, and my wife, or if it's the New Year's Eve, we can do some phone calls using Google Meet. It's not Google Duo anymore. It's much more than that. And I thought it was a gimmick. It completely changed your experience using this TV. You can control your TV with your hand. And I have to say, in the beginning, I was not able to really use it. Now I know, because you need to have your hands open. So when you have open, after, you need just to move your hand. And in this case, I'm bringing the volume up. And for example, just to show you, and let's just disappear. If I want to turn off my TV, I just have to close my hand. So I just have to call it, close my hand, and it's going to turn off my TV. And that's it. The TV now is turned off. Another thing that I really like, obviously, if you have Google TV, you can also turn on your TV just using your voice. Hey Google, turn on TV.
All right, turning on the MADTV.
The TV is now on. Another thing that I really like about this TV, compared to my experience with the Samsung S95, is how fast it is to turn on. And you can see that the microphone works really well. Turn off the TV.
Turning off the MADTV.
And it always works. But coming back to the gestures control, yes, it's cool to show to a friend that you can basically be on the sofa and changing the volume up, volume down. The issue is that sometimes you are just on your sofa, you move your hands around, and the TV thinks that you want to turn on the gestures. And for that reason, I don't use it often. The other one that I have already covered a bit on the video, it's the ability to be controlling the environment where you are, the amount of light that is in that environment, the brightness, the contrast, and all those stuffs happening on your screen. And that's only possible because of that camera. It's only possible because the processor here is always analyzing what is happening on the screen. So experience, I will not swap for a television that doesn't give me that. Like I said, the ambient sensor, I'm not a fan. That exists also because in some countries, because of the amount of energies that these TVs, they can basically take it to produce a good image and a bright image. It's too high for selling those TVs on those countries. So that's why you have the ambient sensor available on those TVs that you can turn on and turn off. Another one that I simply like it and is really, really funny to use it on, it's the sound. So basically, imagine if I'm sitting where you guys are, the sound is going in that direction. But many times I arrive home and my wife is there because she was off, and I arrive from work and I stand basically there. The camera can't see me and it starts pointing me sound in that direction. So this TV, if you go into the settings and you go to display and sound, and after you go to sound, and after you go to auto adjust picture and sound, I don't know if you guys can see on the top, I'm sitting very close to the television and you have a green dot next to the television. But if I move away, and I hope that I'll be able to show you guys. And now I'm here. You can see that the dot is now moving because it can recognize that I'm in a different spot of the living room. And now I'm much more here on the back, and you can see that that dot, it's moving around. And now if I come back next to the television, it starts saying where I am. And if you have kids, you have even an option that you can turn on that is going to control and saying that you are seeing television too close to the television. Because, for example, for me, I use glasses because of that. I was always on top of the television when I were a kid. The television will also be able to control how close you are from the television and sending a message and sending some alerts that you are just too close to that specific television when you are seeing content. When you are in this menu, you can see you can control the brightness. I have this turned off because I want the television to be bright as much as possible. And after, you have the voice in phases. So in other words, the central speaker is going to send you the sound where you are. If you are just one person or two persons, they understand how they have to dissipate that sound to reach that person and the other person that is sitting on the sofa. That's also the reason. And as you can see here on the bottom, is saying how many people is seeing television. So if we are two, it's not just one green dot there, it will appear to. One of the funny facts, if you have like a doll or something like that, sometimes the television can think that that's a person. So just be aware of that. It happens to me before. It's really, really funny. So sometimes when I'm not looking, it becomes 0 because it doesn't see any face. But when it recognizes a face and you can see happening in there, it turns to one person. So this is a big subject if you come from a Samsung S95b to a Sony A95K, or obviously from Samsung to Sony. When you are seeing content on your Samsung TV and you need to change maybe your base or the ear channels or whatever, you need to go out of what you are seeing to be able to do that. But when you are on Sony TV, that's completely different. You have a complete bar that is customizable with all the channels, everything that you need to do for. I have more here because I have it connected with the Sony A9, and obviously since they are both Sony, they play together. And obviously like the base level, the immersive AI, those settings are from the A9. But it's really nice that I can basically do whatever I want here and I can customize. When you are seeing content, and even if you have everything on the settings that you like, I give you the example, I'm not a fan to turn on night mode because it cuts too much the frequencies. What I need to do is I need to drop down my subwoofer from 6 or 7 level to -3, so I can go straight away here. I don't have to go out of the content. Or imagine it was too dark, like I said to you guys, I used the ambient sensors on and off, and now it's off, but imagine that I want to turn it on, and I just have to turn it on. When you are obviously with a Samsung TV, you have constantly to stop doing what you are doing to be able to adjust. Here is straight away there for you without having to stop seeing the content that you are seeing on your TV. Another thing that also made me move to Sony, it's upscaling. And I'm going to compare to the best AI upscaling that I tried until today, that is on the NVIDIA Shield. The NVIDIA Shield do an amazing job. Samsung is really poor when we talk about upscaling. And when you go here, I have to say that is even better than on my NVIDIA Shield. It's incredible how good is the upscaling. And if you are like me, I'm a foreigner and I see the content from my country, the quality is already compressed, but the quality that I can take out of this TV, it's incredible. Another thing that is really important for me is Chromecasting, because if you Chromecast from your phone, for example, even normally the quality is slightly better. And sometimes when I was trying to Chromecast from my phone, I was having issues with the NVIDIA. It was not connecting, and so I had to disinstall, install again. And since I have the Sony in the last 3 weeks, I never had any issues, and I use Chromecast every single evening. So one thing that we also have to cover is this is a master series. So in other words, if you are not aware, these televisions, they are calibrated in factory by professionals. If you are in the UK at least and you want a professional calibrator at your home to calibrate your TVs, let's say you have a Samsung S95b and you want to calibrate your TV by a professional, it means that you need to spend extra £300. When you put the £300 of that calibration plus the £200 for having like an NVIDIA shield, that's already £500. So if you put on top of the £2,100 of the Samsung S95b, that goes to £2,600. So the big difference between these two televisions is £300. So £300 for a best Chromecast, a best software, like a camera that can analyze your sound, where you are in the room, a camera that allows you to do phone calls with your family if they are abroad, camera that can control if your kids are sitting too close to the television and sending alerts, a heatsink on the back that allows this TV to last longer and also to be brighter than the competition, best sound quality that you have on the market outside of the box from a TV. All that costs you £300 if you consider that you spend $300 to calibrate and $200 for a box. In the end of the day, it's completely up to you. If you think that this TV is too expensive, it doesn't cost $4,000 like before. Now it's £800 of difference. Is it not worth it to pay the difference? For someone that had the two televisions in my house, I definitely recommend you to put the extra money. If you don't have the money now, wait a little bit longer and purchase the Sony A95K. And if you think that Sony paid me something to say this, no, I bought this TV with my own money. If you have any questions, leave in the comments below. My name is Marco, this is MADpack. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, comment below, smash a thumbs up, do whatever you want, but always with a smile on your face. And I hope to see you in the next one.